Dandelions are in full bloom up here now, so we are making haste. We're doing two things at the same time. Seems like the days aren't long enough for all the work that needs to get done, but we are moving nukes out every morning, trying to make an effort at moving nukes out every morning, and at the same time, days like today where we can get done with moving bees out into the production yards to produce a crop of honey. We're going back around and putting supers on the yards that are clearly starting to get ahead of us. So it's been pretty intense for the last few weeks. There hasn't really been much of a honey flow, at least if the weather's really been the biggest factor. It's been pretty cool, only beginning 2 or 3 days, maybe 2 days out of a 5-day span of time where the bees can actually work. Anything available to them in regards to dandelions and apples are now just starting to bloom, but they get 2 days to forage and then 3 or 4 days of cold, damp weather confined to the hive. So a lot of these colonies are full of bees and light on honey. So it's been I've been kind of in this holding pattern, which I don't know. Sometimes I think that it's wise to just move ahead and continue to go forward as though they're bringing it in. And there's times where I hold back and wait until the bees to start to show me that they're ready for the extra room that I'm gonna give them. They're about to give them. But anyways, they're starting to be productive, or they're more productive now. So we're making haste trying to get all these supers on. So let's take a look at what we're up to. So let's getting into some of these colonies. Some of them are right on time, right on schedule to put honey supers on, and others we're behind. But that's just the way it goes. I went through and reversed all these colonies about 5 days ago. I usually don't. Some years I reverse them, some years I don't. I reverse them if I'm ahead enough where the space within the 2 deeps is not being fully occupied. If the clusters are fully occupying the 2 deep supers, it's no real benefit for me to reverse, so I just super them. But a lot of these colonies were all in the top box and 3/4 of the bottom, so I reversed them. So that's what we're doing now. Just now giving them the honey, or the supers for honey. What I do is I give them 2 supers at a time of medium. These are my honey supers, medium frames, 9 to a box. Space them out. I mean, I guess you could shake them, to get them all spaced out somewhat nicely. But we give them 2 at a time. And that's what we're up to today. Amelia's helping out, looking for a queen over there in a weak hive. What we've been doing is finding the weak ones and just dropping nucleus colonies in place. Pinching off the queens and dropping in a nuke. And most of the nukes now are solid 10 frames or more. They desperately need some room, so I kind of go through the nuke yards and pull off the strongest ones, equalize, that's best. I equalize first and then take the strongest ones out. Work your way through the strongest, so gradually over the course of 2 weeks, as you're moving the bees out of my nuke yards and into the honey production yards, you're continuously have a supply of these bees that are the right strength to move into honey production, instead of all of them at the same time needing to get moved out simultaneously, and then some of them get ahead of you because you just don't have time to do it all in a week. So anyways, there's that. Sometimes the shake doesn't work as effective as I'd like it to, so I space them out by hand anyways. Get them where I want them. keep all my notes for the queens, for the colonies on the inner covers. You know, what family she's from, how long she's been in here. Like I've always mentioned, for breeding purposes, running a breeding program, everything, you know, it has to be documented for the queens, and I can write down mites. You know, if we do, it's like a couple years ago, it wasn't the same queen, but we did a mite wash and came up with a number. That one was pretty high. That was 15 out of 300, but that queen's dead. She's no longer here. But anyways, so we do keep track of the queens, the date we introduced them. Typically, most of these queens are introduced either in the form of nucleus colonies in the spring, replacing deadouts, or I requeen at some point in the fall or in the spring. It's the fall or spring that I do a lot of requeening. But anyways, show you guys what these look like. They're very light. Not a lot of honey in this box. Lots of bees. And the population's, you know, right about ready. They're not overly strong, but they're ready for supers. I like to, my idea when I super sometimes is to give them, especially right now if they're coming through a winter and starting off the season, it's nice to have a nice little stash of honey in the brood nest in a double deep scenario. And then, you know, you want to put the supers obviously on when they're ready to, when they're making honey. But this colony in particular is so light, I bet you there's hardly maybe one deep frame of honey in this thing. So I try to hold back a little bit so they can at least put some of it in the brood nest and kind of have like a you know, fill in some of the voids on the perimeter of the brood nest with some honey instead of pushing everything up into the supers. And then, you know, come harvest, we'll just deplete them of all their feed, and then we have to feed regardless, you know, even in double deeps. So it's kind of a timing thing. But anyways, every year's a little different. Well, we're coming down to the end of the day here. We had a full truck, and this is what we have left. I don't know, I was telling Amelia here, who's helping me today, that we put close to 100 supers on, maybe. I think it was 100, close to it. And these are all coming off, so we're going home empty. And that was just a half a day's worth of, not even half a day's worth of work. Just kind of, well, about a half a day. So this yard is one that obviously we haven't been to in a while, because none of the grass anywhere has been cut in my bee yards, because there's no time to cut it yet. But these guys, I want to see if we can get into some of these. I know they just probably taken to the trees, some of them, because they just got too strong. Well, here's one in particular. It's a really nice sign to see the bearding. But they are ready to go. We were in here yesterday just to see how many needed to be replaced for deadouts, and I cracked that one, and there was a half a dozen queen cells looking at me, and I just closed it up and kept moving. It's hard to pass those cells by though, so I'm glad that they didn't swarm yet. So hopefully we'll get into them and cull the cells, give them some room, see if we can get a little bit of a crop of honey out of them. But yeah, pretty country up here. This is in Vermont, in the Connecticut River Valley. This is mostly what was an organic farm, and well, it's still an organic farm, but it just changed hands. Got some porta potties. Very easy relief. Anyways, it's been a pretty productive day. More to come. Let me see if we can find some queen cells here for you. All right, see if we can crack this open and see what we got. Got bare comb on the inner covers, packed with honey. The dandelions are, well, they've been thick as thieves out here. So, but this hive, it's just, I'm surprised they haven't taken off yet. This is just playing with fire. But again, it's just one hive out of many, so it's just fun to catch a couple of them before they all start getting away. Pardon the interstate noise here. Put this right there. So one thing, I usually have a bunch of benches and some stuff that I can elevate everything off, but since the truck was full today, I'm kind of doing things the old school way. So what I'll just start to do is I usually take the top super and put it on a bench that keeps I can kind of work both supers apart from one another, so the queen doesn't run down and you can find her pretty easily. But essentially I'm just going to go through and try to cull all these cells. But look at the honey. Full of honey. Partially capped cells. These bees are loaded to the gills. A little bit of brood, some cells. The typical textbook about to swarm brood nest. How far along are these cells? They're probably a week. Not even all, not too far along here. The pupa is not ready. They got another week before they emerge. Oh yes, everywhere. Sometimes what I like to do when I'm looking for cells, and I make sure that, well, if you're trying to find the queen and look for cells at the same time, I go and find the cells first, then look for the queen. If you shake the bees off, you can see the brood, a little bit more clearly. But I see eggs, so there's definitely a queen that's been here for the last, she's been here in the last few days. And there she is, yellow dot queen. They have yet to swarm. That's all I need to see, so we'll just get diligent here about culling all the cells. Surprised she's still, it's kind of fun to see that it's still the original queen. 2-year-old queen. The hive is strong. There she is, Amelia. Down on the bottom box of this hive, is full of the bottom, bit of brood. You had the cluster up here and they worked their way down at the bottom, but everything is just packed with pollen and honey now, with several days of a nice dandelion flow. And no honey supers. It's explosive. They were literally barren of honey probably a week ago. And now it's just, everybody's pouring in, so. Oh, wow. Where there's no brood, it's like there's no empty cells. Everything is packed with nectar, pollen, or brood.
For bees.
Makes it fun. There's a frame of foundation. Didn't get drawn out.
Kidding?
Yeah, it's like all plastic. We'll put that there. Some empty comb. So I'm going to reverse this hive. Really don't need to because they're occupying most of the space, but there's a few empty frames down here. One thing I like to look for in a hive that you're reversing for the first time is what does the bottom board look like? And in this case, obviously a big strong population, they've cleaned the bottom board right out. Some hives though, you don't see this, so it's nice to just see hives that are cleaning up anything on the bottom board from winter kill and stuff. We'll be back a little further. Here's a top super. Lots of fun happenings.